Football is right around the corner. We're going to give you three matchups to watch when the Bills and the Rams kick it off for the 2022 NFL season. That's next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Travis Rogers. Not only do I host Locked On Rams, I also host the Rams pregame and postgame show on their flagship station, ESPN 710, and we will kick that off on Thursday, 3:30, if you're here in the Los Angeles area and you want to get ready for the Rams and the Bills. Myself and Kirk Morrison have that one for you as well. Okay, we've got a very good one. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to click subscribe in your podcast feed so you get it every single day. You're also going to click subscribe on our Locked On Rams YouTube channel so you can get your team delivered every single day. I'm going to give you three matchups to look at, maybe a little bit more than three because a couple of them kind of go together, but these are the key matchups going in to the game on Thursday night to kick off the season, the night where Ozzy Osbourne will have a concert. We're going to drop the banner, and it'll be fun because there's a lot to get to in this game. There's a lot of big moments that are leading up to it, but once that ball gets kicked off, now it is this season. And as much fun as it was to go through the last 6 months of offseason as the Super Bowl champion and getting to talk about the Super Bowl champions and talk about some of the players that they acquired, talk about some of the players that have left and what it might mean and what this could lead to, we're going to know. We're going to have an idea of what this team actually looks like. And, one of the exciting things and maybe a little bit anxiety-inducing when it comes to a Sean McVay team is you never really know what it's going to look like until they get on the field because they don't play during the preseason. So we'll talk about some of these matchups, and let's just kind of jump right into it. Let me remind you that today's pod is brought to you by BriteCo. This episode is brought to you by BrightCo Jewelry and Watch Insurance. BrightCo brings you comprehensive, fast, and affordable jewelry insurance for as low as $5 per month. Check out your special offer for Locked On listeners and get covered in under 2 minutes at bright.co/locked on. That's bright.co/locked on. All right, matchup number one that we want to get into. And this is something that we'll get frequently, but you're not going to get it every single time. We're talking about the number one wide receiver on the number one quarterback, Stephon Diggs for the Buffalo Bills against Jalen Ramsey and the Los Angeles Rams. Couple of different reasons why. Best on best is always a great matchup. You know that Stephon Diggs wants to measure himself against the best corner in the league. You know that Jalen Ramsey wants to measure himself against one of the best wide receivers in the league. So it's a great matchup just purely in that regard. Jalen Ramsey has long been considered the best cover corner in the NFL. Is he still? This will be a very good litmus test to see where he is exactly. Let's just start with that. Ramsey is still that guy. Probably. Ramsey is still the guy that can erase half of the field. Probably. Ramsey is the guy that when the other team breaks the huddle, they say, where's number 5? Okay, there he is. Not over there. Probably. This is the point that, look, this is professional sports. This is professional sports at a position where your athleticism, your quickness, your just ability to do things physically is incredibly important. Obviously, there's a huge mental component as well, but when you can't run and cut and stop and start the way that you need to at that position, it's hard to think your way through it. Jalen Ramsey gave up some big plays towards the end of last season. We saw what happened against Tampa. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl. We all talk about the final play of the game where Aaron Donald got to Joe Burrow. Jalen Ramsey's guy was free and clear. Had he had another second, who knows what would have happened right there. So was this just a culmination of a long season where a guy that had played the entire year had finally worn down? He had some shoulder issues that we know that he got addressed during the offseason. We'll talk about that in just 1 second. Or is this the beginning of what happens to everybody? Which is, if you are a player like Jalen Ramsey, your trajectory in professional sports is come in, you're pretty green, but you're a great athlete. And then as you start to gain experience and your athleticism is still at a very high level, you get to that point where you're the best in the biz, right? And then you can sit there for a minute because I know what I'm doing. And I know my body will respond to it. And then it starts to tip a little bit, right? And it goes from I know where I'm supposed to be, I know what I'm looking at, I know what they're trying to get done against me. I just can't get there anymore. It's the classic my mind is willing, but my body is weak sort of thing. Sometimes it happens quick, sometimes it's a little more subtle, and sometimes it can be very, very gradual, and sometimes it's a cliff. This could be the beginning of that gradual fade. We will see. I cannot wait to see that matchup on Thursday night. And of course, the other part of it is how healthy is he? He said he's going to be ready when the time is right. He said that he's going to be ready to go when we get to the real stuff. Well, as far as I can tell, this is about as real as it gets. It's opening night of the NFL. It's a game with the defending Super Bowl champions against the team that Las Vegas believes is the most likely team to win the Super Bowl. They're the Super Bowl favorites going into the season. The Buffalo Bills are. It's a pretty big deal. Is he ready to go? So that's a big part to watch too. Just the physicalness of him. Are his shoulders ready to go to stand up to the NFL and everything that comes with that? The last part of this matchup that I think is particularly interesting is if he is less than the best version of himself, that puts an incredible amount of pressure on those other guys. Because if he's still Jalen Ramsey, right, as we think of him, then you know that you can cheat to the other side of the field, right? If the safeties and the backers and all those guys can, okay, look, I can let Jalen kind of hang over here by himself. He's not going to let somebody beat him one-on-one. I can give Kobe Durant. I can give Darian Kendrick. I can give Troy Hill. I can give Robert Rochelle just that extra step to his direction if he needs a little help. Well, what if Jalen's not that guy anymore? What if you have to play everything straight up? All of a sudden, the pressure on those other guys becomes more and more significant because you don't have just the eraser on the other side of the field. So that's the first matchup that I want to look at going into Thursday night. All right, here's what I want to do next. I want to talk about kind of the opposite of this. The Rams' number one wide receiver going up against not the number one cornerback for the Buffalo Bills. That's next on Locked On Rams. So have you gone and watched the videos at BriteCo yet? Have you gone and checked them out? They're absolutely unbelievable. They're just funny. So if no other reason, you got to go check these things out at brite.co/locked on. And the videos are of these guys losing engagement rings, losing expensive pieces of jewelry. They're proposing they drop it into a river. It's gone forever. They drop it over the cliff, drop it in a ballgame. You will laugh and cringe at the same time. But here's the lesson. You don't want to be that guy, and you don't want it to be all over the internet like these poor suckers, right? That's why the guys at BriteCo Jewelry have made a replacement for the full value of that ring, no matter if it's lost, stolen, you can't figure out what the heck happened to the thing. Go to brite.co/locked on. It is the fastest and easiest and cheapest way to cover your rear end with the best jewelry insurance in the business. And I get it. No one loves to go buy insurance. It's probably not the thing that you're looking forward to doing the most today. What if I told you to do it in 2 minutes on your phone, right? 2 minutes on your phone. $5 a month, get you totally comprehensive coverage, and it won't take you more than a couple of minutes on your phone. Go check it out right now. brite.co/locked on. How good is this time of year? It is almost the start of the NFL season. You can see it from here. That's why I couldn't recommend more the Elias Game Plan app. It is the ultimate sports betting and fantasy companion for the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball. We're going to have all three of those things coming up here in just a few weeks. And the Elias Game Plan is the only sports app from the most trusted name in sports, the Elias Sports Bureau, the official statisticians of U.S. pro sports leagues, including the NFL. Look, you do what I do, right? I host a talk show. I host a podcast about an NFL team. You need to know your numbers. You need to trust your research. You need to know that you're getting in the right spot. That's why the Elias Game Plan app is exactly the right thing for me. And you can drop some nuggets on your buddies to kind of surprise them a little bit along the way. Quality information is everything. So this app is unbelievably useful to me every single day. The NFL season is here, so do not wait. Download the Elias Game Plan app today. And right now, a special offer when you subscribe. Get a free 14-day trial off a monthly subscription plan, but only if you use the promo code LOCKEDONNFL. Find Elias Game Plan Sports Betting in the App Store or Play Store today and use that promo code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, so let's go to the opposite of this. After you click the subscribe button on your podcast feed, Locked On Rams and our Locked On Rams YouTube channel as well. And a sincere thank you to all of you that listen to us as often as you do. It means a lot to us, and we appreciate it a great deal. All right, so we talked about Jalen Ramsey against Stephon Diggs. Well, what about the Rams' number one wide receiver? Of course, that is Cooper Kup. And Cooper Kup, a couple of years ago, when last time that these two teams met in Buffalo, he had a day. Cooper Kup, and this was pre-Cooper Kup becoming, well, Cooper Kup. This was still when he was ascending into that role. Cooper Kup had 10 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown in that first matchup, working mostly out of the slot, but absolutely gave the Bills fits in that game. And this is a elevated version of Cooper Kup. Now, what makes it even more interesting is Tre'Davious White, the best corner on the Buffalo Bills, not going to play in this game. He is unavailable to them. So this gives the Rams a lot of opportunities, because here's what's going on. Your best option beyond White is now having to deal with somebody that is not just the slot guy from a couple of years ago, but he's arguably the best wide receiver in football. For my money, I'm going to take the arguably out of it. I believe he is, because I'm weird in that I think catching the most balls for the most yards and the most touchdowns makes you the best wide receiver. But what do I know, right? I'm obviously a little biased. So now just slide on down, right? If their number two guy is on your number one guy, that means their number three guy is on Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson may be able to do some damage against a guy that's their number three guy. Do you think that all of a sudden Tyler Higbee is going to get some favorable matchups, whether it's Ben Skoranek or Tutu Atwell or whoever slides in to that third wide receiver role? Maybe Van Jefferson surprises us and plays on Thursday. Unlikely, but possible, I guess. This is going to be a big opportunity for the Rams, because this is what they do, right? That Sean McVay does so many things so well. But I think the thing that he might be best at, if you're listing the characteristics or the traits as a head coach that he is particularly gifted at, is he finds way to get guys in advantageous positions, right? That you hear this about all the time. Coaches want to put you in a position to succeed. They want to put you in a position to do what you do best against somebody who does not, right? This is coaching 101. My good against your less good in space. That creates a whole bunch of problems. That's what McVay is very good about. So now you're taking your best, Cooper Kup, and they have to do, they're not going to have their best in Tre'Davious White. It's a big advantage for the Rams. And here's it's the domino effect, right? It's not unlike what we were talking about with Jalen Ramsey. If all of a sudden Cooper Kup is killing someone, certainly a possibility. Now you're going to he's going to draw more attention, which means that's less attention to Tyler Higbee. That's less attention to Cam Akers out of the backfield. That's less attention to Allen Robinson. That's less attention to whoever that third wide receiver might be at any given point. And once you get a guy that's, I don't want to say uncovered, but certainly maybe it's not your best guy, but still one of your guys against a guy that's just barely hanging on, that's a huge opportunity for the Rams. And Sean McVay is certainly going to take advantage of that as well. Look, Buffalo has a good defense. Buffalo is going to be a really good team this year. Like I mentioned, Vegas has them as the odds-on favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Take that for what it's worth. You know, the AFC, as we've talked about for weeks now, is loaded with good teams. All four teams out of the AFC West have a chance to make the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills are going to make the playoffs. You look at the AFC North, Cincinnati is good. Lamar Jackson's back with Baltimore. They're going to be very good. Pittsburgh, who knows? They're playing Mitch Trubisky at quarterback, but when's the last time Mike Tomlin had a bad team? Never, right? And then you got Cleveland. So we'll see how that whole thing shakes out. The point being, that division is absolutely loaded. Indianapolis is a good team. Tennessee was the number one team in the AFC last year. So just because Vegas has them number one doesn't mean they're going to be there. But this is going to be the best version of this team, at least for a while, because they're coming out of camp. They're relatively healthy. They got a chance to do it. So this is going to be a very good measuring stick for the Rams. something that I want to talk about with Joe Marino when we do our crossover episode tomorrow to get you ready for that. It's interesting because this is such a sexy matchup between Buffalo and Los Angeles, two very good teams. Somebody's going to come out of this feeling really good about their team, and somebody's going to lose this game, right? The odds of the tie are very, very low. Whoever loses this game, their season isn't over, right? This is a long season with 17 games. If you have a great year, you're going to lose 4 or 5 games. That's a great year. Okay, so whoever loses this game is still certainly a very dangerous team moving forward, both Buffalo and Los Angeles. And hopefully, let's say that it's Buffalo for the sake of our arguments. All right, another couple of matchups coming up next. We're going to go to both the offensive and defensive line. That is next, coming up on Locked On Rams. So we're all incredibly excited about football, right? We love the games. We like the tailgating, all of the stuff that we enjoy so much. And look, let's be honest, little daily fantasy doesn't make it bad either, right? This is where PrizePicks comes in because it's not your typical daily fantasy. It is a much more fun way to do it. And you got a much better chance of winning because you're not competing against everybody, right? You're not competing against Vegas. You're competing against what PrizePick thinks the over-unders are going to be, right? The productions are going to be, the predictions. For instance, 320 yards, more or less for Patrick Mahomes. Derrick Henry, more or less than 85 yards on the ground. Cooper Kup, our guy here on the Rams, more or less than a half a touchdown, right? Do you think that you know the answers to those questions? That's how you do it. You pick 2 to 5 players, and if they score more or less than their PrizePick projection, you can win up to 10 times your money on any entry. And you're not competing against other people. It's just you against the projection available. NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, PG, you name the sport, they've got you covered. Disc golf, cricket, they got it all, right? Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It is that easy. And of course, you can safely and quickly withdraw your money. Currently operational in over 30 states and in Canada. Here's how you do it. Download the PrizePicks apps or go to prizepicks.com and sign up today to play daily fantasy sports. First-time users receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with the promo code Locked On. If you deposit $100, PrizePicks will give you $100. If you deposit $50, PrizePicks will give you $50. Don't forget to enter that promo code Locked On at sign up for an instant deposit match of up to $100. All right, so for the final matchup here, talking about the Bills and the Rams coming up on Thursday night, SoFi Stadium, opener of the season, Super Bowl champion Rams against the Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills. Well, I mean, look, quarterbacks are fun, wide receivers are fun, touchdowns are fun, and all that stuff is the stuff that, gets us excited. But you win or lose these games based on those 8 or 10 ugly dudes, big dudes right up in the front, right? We're talking O-line matchup against D-line matchup, and that's going to be a huge deal on both sides of this. Let's start with one. O-line for the Bills, D-line for the Rams. Of course, we're going to talk about Aaron Donald and how he's going to do. He's going up against one of his former teammates, Roger Saffold, who was a teammate of his here in L.A. They spent a few years together. Look, nobody can block Aaron Donald. No one knows how to take Aaron Donald out of a game. No one knows how to neutralize him or make him look bad, or anything. It doesn't exist. There's a reason he's on the short list of best defensive players ever, not just at his position, ever. Okay, that's Aaron Donald. That being said, when you go up against somebody a lot at practice and meetings, you go over film together, you're going to understand what he likes less. You're going to understand what gives him slightly more trouble than something that doesn't. Like, look, if if Aaron Donald had ever said to Saffold at a point, oh, look, when a guy does this, I know that I've got him. I know if a guy plants his feet like this, I can get him with the bull rush. I'm sure they've had those conversations. So let's not do any of that, right? Let's at least make it as difficult as possible for him. So Saffold, I don't want to say he has an advantage, but he may have a little bit of information that some other guys don't when it goes up against him. And again, you're not going to lock up Aaron Donald where he has 1 tackle and no sacks. It's not possible, right? He's Aaron Donald. But what you can do is limit his impact. What you can do is make it so at the end of the night, Aaron Donald didn't get back to your quarterback and hit Josh Allen 4 times and sack him twice and take your running backs out of the game. You can make it more difficult for him. I think that's an important matchup for both of these teams. If Aaron Donald can take him apart, then all of a sudden we know what it looks like when Aaron Donald is at his very best. So that's an opportunity for the Rams. And for the Bills side, it's an opportunity for them to at least make him work for it. Whether or not it's effective, we'll find out on Thursday. Now let's kind of flip it the other way. Let's go Rams O-line to the Buffalo defensive front. Rob Havenstein is going to have to deal with Von Miller. And again, kind of similar to what we just talked about, where they were teammates. Now, it was a far shorter period of time. Von Miller is not quite at that level that Aaron Donald is at right now. Von Miller is going to go to the Hall of Fame. He's a multiple-time Super Bowl champion, and he's a great player in his own right. But maybe, if Aaron Donald is still a 10 out of 10, Von Miller's an 8 out of 10. So maybe you have a little bit of a chance there, but Rob Havenstein's going to have to deal with this. And he's got an interesting role on this team because last year with Andrew Whitworth at left tackle and him at right tackle, you knew you had a guy over there that had seen everything, done everything, wasn't worried about it. I got this. Well, he's that guy now, right? He's the guy that's been around the block a million times. He's the guy that Joe Nopu might have a question for. He's the guy that Brian Allen might have a question. You got a new starter right, next to him at Shelton Coleman at right guard. He's the old man in the group. He's going to be the guy that has to answer these questions, that has to stand up. If he's getting smoked regularly, what does that do for the rest of the guys? It's a big matchup as well. And blocking Von Miller, no easy task. No one's really been able to do that all that well since he came into the league a few years ago either. So there's your defensive line matchup for the Rams as well. All right. We're here, right? Crossover episode tomorrow with Joe Marino from Locked On Bills. And then we got football. And now we're talking about games. And now we're talking about what worked, what didn't work, who's healthy, who's not, decisions. Football season is finally here. Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day. Now make your second listen. Go check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. Local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one NFL preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Till next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.